Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have an article here with an ex-general who thinks that he's still relevant, but doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that he can't have an opinion and express it. It's just that it's interesting how, in my assessment, this opinion is kind of impossible to achieve and shallow. But let's read and see what it's all about. Maybe you might have a different take on this. This article comes from Daily Mail, and this is the title. The title is British ex-NATO commander says, and I'm quoting, there will be never peace in Europe while Putin remains in power, and calls for massive rearmament in UK and other Western nations after Ukraine invasion. Okay, this gentleman, he's General Sir, he's a Sir, Richard Shireff, Shirreff, was speaking at the Chalky Valley History Festival. What kind of festival is that? He was the deputy supreme commander of NATO when Russia invaded Crimea. And he didn't do shit, so anyway. General Sir Richards said Western nations have to push for defeat of Putism. Okay. Said massive rearmament is required to combat blood-stained autocrat. To combat, okay. And this is a British former NATO chief said last night there will never be peace in Europe while Vladimir Putin remains in charge of Russia, and called for massive rearmament in the West. Did he hear what those some Russians say about, I'm assuming being a sir, it must be from Britain. Did he hear what those guys said in Russia about one rocket sinking the British island? I'm not saying islands, island, one rocket. Did he listen to that? And that's not a threat, that's a fact. I mean, what rearmament? You can rearm yourself how much you want. If this guy send 50 and you miss one, let's say you hit all the 49 and you miss one, you are sinking. Anyway, this guy is just talking about crazy stuff. Speaking in, yeah, he says here that this guy, the same Sir General, said that Western armed forces, including those of Britain, had been cut to ribbons as a result of recessive complacent thinking in the past 15 years. I don't think so, but you know best. General Sir Richard, who was the deputy supreme commander of NATO when Russia annexed Ukraine's Crimea region in 2014 after a referendum, the will of the people, democracy, blah, 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 linked the current situation to the months leading up to the Second World War and said Western nations have to push for the defeat of Putin and the defeat of the Putin regime. Now, if you are to go back there, then you have to remember that Poland negotiated in bad faith with Germany about the Danzig corridor and region, which is old East Prussia, if you remember, that is German territory, okay? And then the Germans requested that they should have access to their majority population, 94 or something percent were Germans over there, and allegedly they were mistreated by the Polish government, and they requested the Polish for, have a kind of autonomous status for that region. The Poles, which knew they could be squashed by Germany in 3 weeks, as they were, they did not negotiate in good faith because the same people as Sir Richard said to Poland, no, 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 don't agree to anything, because if they do it, we're going to come and save you. The same France, they had an alliance treaty. And then when the Germans gave them an ultimatum, the Poles went to their masters, and because the Poles always like to be with someone else when they're fought. When they're fought by themselves, maybe in the 15th century, that's maybe they were, 15, maybe 16, they still had some power and they killed everybody else around, the states around. So they had a little bit of this. And after that, they needed always, they just disappeared in 1794 or something. Poland disappeared, was disintegrated out until the end of the First World War, when it was again created as a nation and given territories from the neighboring countries, including Germany, Danzig. So that's how that problem was. So then when the Sir Richard said, no, 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 the Germans destroyed them together with the Soviets from the other side, and Great Britain did not declare war to both invaders, because why? They declared war only to one of them. The same friends, after 2 days of, what should we do, monsieur? Right? Okay, sir. So, sir, maybe the same scenario was with Ukraine. Remember the Minsk agreements in 2014? Remember, sir? Crimea, sir? And now we're in 2022. How many years? 7, 8 years, right? All right, so it says here, this will require massive rearmament, he added, but warned that the Russian president has to leave office to avoid further conflict. You decide that? Get out of here. You were never elected in any position. You were appointed. Putin was elected. So a little bit the will of the people, Sir Richard. All right, there will be never peace in Europe while Putin is in the Kremlin, or while the Putin regime is not regime, it's democratically elected. What are you talking about? Is in the Kremlin. We are now back where many of your fathers, my father, my mother, were in 1938, he said. Correct, correct. You appeased Hitler. Yes, correct. But so much to talk about. General Sir Richards' criticism of defense cuts in recent years come as the army is set to make further cutbacks, which could see troops numbers fall to 73,000 troops. Well, you can rearm how much you want, guys. It's just uh, you know re, the as I always say, you can talk, but the problem is, if you're not ready to do something, it's just talk. I don't really watch movies. I used to watch them a long time ago. I don't watch really, I can't, I feel intellectually insulted by Hollywood and their level of 13-year-old, movies. I don't watch movies, but this movie, I can't remember when I watched it. It was sometime. I like historical movies, kind of, but it was King Arthur. And at one point it showed the barbarians. The barbarians over there were the Saxons. The Saxons were the bad guys over there, and I think that's what it was, the movie. Yes, and these Saxons, yeah, and the Saxons, they had a leader, and the leader had a son, and it was the little scuffle in the middle of these Saxons, the bad dudes, Anglo-Saxons, they're the bad dudes. And the son said something in front of everybody to the leader, to his father, the leader of the Saxons. And the father turns around towards the son. I mean, they're adults, both of them. He's not like a kid. Turns around and tells him, son, next time when you challenge me, make sure you have a sword in your hand. So that was enough. I let you pass this time, but you're just talking. So unless you have a sword and about to do something, don't challenge me verbally again, because I'm going to cut your throat. The same with this guy, Richard. Richard, why don't you do stuff? Talking without being able to do stuff is zero. You can say we rearm, that's good for you. The arms industry will flourish, that's great. But the question is, will you use it? And if you use it, you're going to use it against nuclear armed Russia. Remember, they need one rocket. Remember, that's the big disadvantage of Great Britain, because it has one rocket. Now, it's not like the First or the Second World War, where you can move to your colonies or to the Commonwealth or something like that. And when they come here, you go through the other side of through the back door of your island. It doesn't work that way nowadays, because in 3 minutes, some rockets missiles can fall on the island. You have no time to either, not even look out the window. So nevertheless, this Richard is out of the job, and he's hoping to get a new job by talking shit or smack. This is what I think he does. And again, maybe he has a point, but besides, he was a bureaucrat. He was a guy who was appointed. On the other hand, Putin was elected. However we want to take that, it's still above this guy. On the other hand, you are out of the job. He is not. How can you demand that? You can demand it. But again, next time, make sure you have a sword in your hand. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.